Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, catching up with Banks Repeta about Armageddon Time, which recently came to theaters. Welcome back to the show, man. It's so good to see you.
Thank you so much. I'm glad I get to come back and do this, not the same interview, but an even better one.
Absolutely. I mean, we talked about the black phone last time, which is still kind of taking the world by storm a little bit. I feel like it's never going away. I do want to say as well, I only noticed that you had a black phone with you in the interview at the end of the interview.
That was great, right?
I know, it was such a good moment because you picked up the phone and I was like, what is he doing? I was like, oh my goodness. So anyway, it's not like it came at the end and you grabbed it. It was there the whole time. So that was a good moment. We touched on
this here too.
Yeah, absolutely. You got a nice we touched on the movie a little bit last time as well. We're obviously going to go into detail a little bit now that people had a chance to see it in theaters and everything, which is exciting. I mean, your character in this, there's a lot of kind of the coming of age, kind of figuring things out. What specifically can you tell us about your character in Armageddon Time if people haven't seen the movie yet?
For people who haven't seen the character, I play Paul Graff in Armageddon Time, and some basic characteristics is that he's a dreamer, and he has a lot of curiosity and imagination, and he loves exploring, and he's an artist, and he not just physically with paper. He likes to dream and just see what he can do.
Yeah, absolutely. No, for sure. And, you did such a great job with this character. I do have to ask, because I always find it very interesting, the conversation between actors and directors. You got to work with James Gray on this, who's an amazing director. What were those conversations like specifically with your character, with the specific scenes? Because your character has a lot of scenes that he's talking to a lot of his family members one-on-one. So what were those conversations like with James specifically?
Yeah, well, before we started filming, I had about 2.5 weeks to just get to know everybody, the director, obviously, the crew members, my co-actors, and just everybody else. And that's when I first met James in person, and he gave me some basic information about the character, like what it was like in Queens, New York, and, just what a normal family dinner would be like, and just all of that kind of setting. But to get into more detail, he really made it clear that he wanted to see what I could do with the part and how I could portray Paul Graff and how I could, get a feel for Paul Graff.
It's interesting, too, because, you got a chance to work with so many amazing people on this. I feel like it was like school almost, right? And did it feel sometimes like you got to kind of look... I mean, I'm just curious, because there's always going to be, whether it's on set, conversation, like a base camp or something, like you got to work with Anne, Jeremy, Anthony, any kind of advice that anyone gave you specifically, like about acting, about life, about storytelling specifically that you can share with us?
Advice. I'm glad you got to that question. Well, let's say with Anne Hathaway, before we started filming, I took a walk with her in Central Park, and she taught me about the poet Rumi. And in between scenes one day, we learned a TikTok dance together, which was so fun and great. That kind of really made the chemistry great. And same with Anthony Hopkins. In between scenes, I got to do a salsa dance with him. Lots of dances going on. And right? Yeah, it was
salsa just dancing with Anthony Hopkins is is a win.
I know, right? I mean, it was so great working with these people, not just because they're Anthony Hopkins and Anne Hathaway, but also that they actually wanted to get to know you and become your friend. That made it so real to me.
And Jeremy Strong as well. I mean, you got to work with so many amazing people.
Yeah, let me get to that. He was just so special and great. He had a very unique acting style, and I thought it was impressive. And I just love how he made it easier for the actors around him to work by staying in character. He's quite great.
And let's be honest, there's some scenes where it kind of seems like it's just like family talking, but it's intense. There's tough subject matter in this film. Like, it is very intense. You know what I mean? And you got to work with amazing actors. It's intense, right? Like, you saw that on the script, right? It's intense. Which is really important. In terms of, because I do find it interesting, because you work on Armageddon Time, which is like drama, and I feel like it's coming of age, slice of life, and I feel like it touches on so many amazing, important issues, and I feel like we know kind of what we're getting into when we watch Armageddon Time. Same thing with The Black Phone, where I think we know what we're getting into because it's like a horror film and everything. For you as like a storyteller and an actor, Banks, is it all storytelling for you, or does like your mindset change depending on the genre at all or the part? Like, I'm just curious about that a little bit.
Of course it does. I mean, horror versus drama, I think that's a big difference.
Yeah.
When I read the script for a part, what I mainly focus on is what the character would be thinking in the situation. So, for example, in the dinner table scenes with Paul and his family, he's sitting there and he's just thinking about how he's going to get in trouble or what he can do to please himself, versus Grip and Stag, or how he is trying to help the victim. I think it's very different.
Oh, absolutely. We'll continue on this interview because there's not much time. I hope you know what I did there. That's your line from The Black Phone. I'll try to make a joke because that's what you say, right?
Oh, yeah, you don't have much time. Oh my gosh. What am I thinking?
No,
that's so great.
No, we have plenty of time. No, we have got some more questions, but I have to.
Oh, yeah. Dude, you're so smart. You're my favorite interviewer. Don't cut this out.
I really appreciate that. No. And people really love, too, that you explained the stunt, right? Like the in Black Phone. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
People love that. It's the behind the scenes. People love that as well, and people love that about this interview. I'm sure they're going to love this interview as well, because there's some good stuff here. And you've done a lot of interviews, so you're ready to go. You're back with PD Beats. I do want to know. I think this is a great time to bring this up. There's got to be some funny stories or cool moments like on set with Armageddon Time you can share. Anything that comes to mind specifically?
Specifically funny?
Funny or like cool? I mean, I think the dancing with Anthony Hopkins can be the answer to that question.
That was pretty cool. Dancing with Anthony and Dancing with Annie. Those were two pretty cool things. But with Jalen, I spent 2.5 months acting with them, doing scenes and doing the school. We had our own little classroom. I mean, there's so many things that I can't even remember, but specifically, let's see. Oh, I remember one time we were filming in a studio and it was 2 a.m. and the scene was we were in an arcade, and I remember I was so tired I was uncontrollably laughing, and it was the scene on Jalen, and it was like the last scene of the day.
Was it like a late shoot, or was it just a regular time at the end of the day?
It was just a regular time at the end of the day. And it was Jalen's shot, and I was just uncontrollably laughing because I was so tired. And Jalen was sitting there trying to keep a straight face for his part, and I'm just sitting there laughing, trying to get my line out. And I remember that going on for what felt like 10 minutes, but was probably 10 seconds. And that was pretty great.
The reason I asked if it was what time it was, because I feel like you talk to everyone. A lot of funny things because everyone's tired happens during the night shoots, right? You know that.
Yeah, right? Everybody's tired then.
Everybody's tired. It was this movie, like we kind of talked about in the beginning of the interview, was school. There's like learning experiences and everything. I mean, how has it just been for you and your family so far with the movie finally out? Like, what's the reception been like on your end specifically with everything?
The first event I went to was in Cannes, France.
Yeah.
And I did that, and I came back, and I was like, wow, that was great. I got to swim the Côte d'Azur. I got to walk the red carpet. So many great things. And then it just kept coming. I had more red carpet events in LA and New York and the SCAD Film Festival.
Yeah.
And just kept coming and coming. Interviews, all of the above. And it was just so crazy because after I finished Cannes, I thought, okay, well, that's over. Now I just have to wait for the movie to come out. But it just kept coming. And I think that's crazy. Maybe it's just me, but I thought that was crazy that it just kept coming.
Did some weeks feel like they were busier than other weeks because there's like travel and everything? Or was it consistent though? Or was like some weeks a lot crazier than other weeks?
It was pretty on and off.
Yeah.
I did a lot of traveling. You know, I went to LA, New York, France, Savannah, Georgia. So yeah, I did a lot of traveling, but it was on and off because I'd have a week off and then going to LA or one of these other places.
But you know what? You know, it's going to calm down for a little bit and then it's going to be award season again. So just prepare.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. It's been great.
It's going to be awesome. Before we wrap up, when I get a chance to see Armageddon Time in theaters, what are you hoping they get out of it takeaway wise? There's a lot of important messages in this film.
The main basis of the movie is it's based off the life of Paul Graff and how he has these relationships with people. It pivots around these relationships with the world, his friends, and his family. And the world tries to tell him that his passions and his dreams are wrong. And there's a point in Paul's life where he's not sure what's right or wrong. And I just hope they take away, if they have any dream or passion, just don't give it away. It's important.
And I do have to say, my favorite thing about the film is I love the scenes with you and Anthony Hopkins. You see a little bit of it in the trailers, you know what I mean? The trailers show a bit, but they're more obviously longer and in depth in the movie. And that's my favorite part of it. I love those scenes. I just want to say that specifically. Those scenes of Anthony are great. I love them.
That relationship was real because offset, we became actual friends and we were just comfortable with each other. It had real chemistry.
Yeah, it was like, they were very kind of genuine conversations on screen. Absolutely. It's very good that you said that. No, absolutely. Banks, always great catching up with you on Popternative. Thank you so much for coming back on the show. Yeah, of course. I wouldn't want to do any other interview. I really appreciate that. And no, that is awesome. So the film is in theaters and it's still in select theaters so they could check it out. And I'm sure there's going to be a digital release date sooner than later so they could check it at home, which is awesome. Congrats on all the success. I'm so happy for you. And your Instagram account for people to keep up to date with things is just your name, right? Banks Repeta? Yeah, at Banks Repeta, no spaces, no caps. Oh, amazing. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Banks Repeta and PD Beats signing off. Do your line for the black phone very quickly before we sign off. You don't have much time. Oh!
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.